Meeting will come to order. Do I need to read the citizens may speak? Do I need to read that?
We're on public comments, we're on maybe call to order prior.
Oh, okay. So yeah, after the public comments, yeah, you'll just read that real quick
Okay.
after we swear everybody in.
Okay, administer statements of officer and oath of office to newly reappointed commission members.
All right, welcome commissioners. If you would please stand and raise your right hand, I'll get you sworn in. If you would repeat after me, I state your name.
I, Jimmy Craven,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission
as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission
for the city of Denison, Texas,
for the city of Denison, Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
Okay, and I've got your oaths here. You should have your statements. If you would sign your statements, and then these as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item 2, public comments. Citizens may speak on actions items listed on the agenda A, or on agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the commission secretary upon arrival prior to the commission reaching the public comment section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Moving on to item 3A, receive report, hold a discussion, take action on approving the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting held on Monday, December 1st, 2025. Need a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve. I'll
Got a
second.
motion- Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, that's too loud. B, hold a discussion, take action on appointment of commission chair and vice chair to serve a 1-year term.
I'll motion. For you to be the chair? So,
It's a motion for you to, I guess you're already chair and to,
I was vice chair, so I guess I'm chair
so,
now.
yeah, make a motion to chair, yeah.
Okay, so we need a
So
vice
he
chair.
motioned, I'll second that.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and make your motion for appointment of the chair.
okay. I'll motion for Jimmy to be a chair.
I accept.
And I'll second.
That's done. All in favor of Jimmy Cravens being the chair, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Done.
Now we need a vice chair.
Yep.
Yep, I need a motion for vice chair.
I'll make a motion, vice chair.
I'll second that.
I'll accept it, yep.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for
All in favor?
all in favor. Raise your right hand. Any opposed? Okay. Item C, presentation on commission member responsibilities, Texas Open Meeting Act and Public Information Act on conflicts of interest.
I'll turn this on. I don't know if I need it on, but I'll turn it on just in case. Okay, I know this is something new for you guys. I've not spent any time doing training with you guys, so this will be new. We're doing this with our boards and commissions now, just so you all understand the legalities and the function of the board. It's real quick. It's only about 10 minutes. I can go through this pretty quickly. We do have a policy, a boards and commissions policy manual that I will email out to you after this that goes into a little more depth on a lot of these things. So this is kind of the nutshell version of that. Here are our topics of discussion, the makeup and function of the Parks and Recreation Commission, the rules of procedure conducting business meetings, reviewing agenda and business packets, open government, and then ethics, which is mainly our conflicts of interest. So the Parks and Recreation Commission, as you know, is made up of 5 commissioners. You're appointed by the City Council based on the recommendation from normally our membership appointment policy panel. You guys, your terms are a little different because yours run May 1st through April 30th. Most of our boards and commissions run January 1 through December 31. So you guys are a little bit unique in that we don't really have the interview process with you guys like we do with our regular boards. So your applications are reviewed by a few members of the City Council, and they make their recommendation to go ahead and push through. So yours is a little bit different than the other boards and commissions. There is a 75% attendance requirement, and that is tracked through minutes and reviewed annually. Failure to meet that can result in your seat being declared vacant by the City Council, and that is in our Code of Ordinances. Function of the board: to recommend to the council a comprehensive recreation and parkland use program based on the needs and interests of the community. Consider the acquisition of land and/or other facilities for parks and recreational facilities, and to make such recommendations to City Council. Establish rules and regulations upon recommendation by the city manager for use and improvement of public parklands and recreation areas. Recommend entering into contracts, interlocal agreements, and lease agreements regarding parks and recreation activities to the City Council. And you guys serve in an advisory capacity only. You cannot bind the city or the City Council. But your advisement is important to the council. They like to hear when our boards and commissions are making recommendations on things that come up to the City Council. So it is an important role. I'm going to spend a little time talking about the Texas Open Meetings Act. This basically states that any meeting where there's a quorum has to be noticed to the public. This last legislative session, they changed that. It was 72 hours notice. It's now 3 business days. So you'll notice that your agendas are probably coming out a little sooner than they used to. And that's because we have to meet a 3 business day requirement. So if you have a meeting on Monday, it's got to be posted the previous Tuesday. So public comments, I know we went over this. This is, Texas law balances public access with orderly governance, so citizens have an opportunity to speak at their council meetings and their boards and commissions meetings. The City Council does have a policy in place for all the boards and commissions. On public comments, it's limited to 3 minutes. So when you read the public comments section, then you would ask Eva, or if I were here, you would ask if there were any comment cards received, because they are required to turn in a public comments card prior to you reaching this section of the agenda. So you would ask, once you read this, you would ask if we received any request to speak cards, and we'd say no, and then you'd say, okay, therefore no public comments will be heard. As far as making motions, maker addresses the chair before making a motion, then you state, I move. A second to the motion is required, and then the chair announces the maker and second of the motion, and then calls for a vote. This is really important because we do stream our meetings out to YouTube. And so the general public doesn't know who you guys are. So when you're making a motion, it helps if you say, I have a motion by Commissioner Cassell, a second by Commissioner Petrie, all in favor, so that they know who's making the motion in the second, and we have it on the record. Because we don't always hear, too, when we're doing the minutes. Sometimes we'll be writing stuff and we don't recognize the voice, or somebody says it close to the same time. So if you can announce it, it's really helpful. Okay. Tabled agenda items. Maker addresses the chair before making the motion. And to table a motion, it requires a second. No debate is allowed on the underlying agenda item being heard or being tabled. And no amendments to the tabling motion can be made. And it's, again, on this, the majority vote is required. It's the same as a regular motion. The only difference is no debates allowed, and you're setting it for a date and time certain in the future so that we can make sure staff gets it put on the next agenda. So when you table a motion, I don't know if you've had many motions now. So if you get to a point where you have to table a motion, you'll always want to put the date and the time of the next meeting that you're tabling it to. This one's my favorite. In order to take no action, you still have to make a motion to take no action. So you just basically say, I make a motion to take no action. It requires a second and a vote, and then you're done. As far as conducting a successful meeting, keep the meeting under control, which you guys don't have to worry about unless our staff gets out of hand. You guys are responsible for making sure the meeting is conducted in an orderly manner and that the business is addressed. Do your homework, make sure you're reading through the agenda and agenda packets, and ask staff for questions, or ask staff questions if something comes up that you don't understand or you want a little more clarification on. Be professional, don't mingle with friends or applicants or other folks, staff, because it can make you appear biased to someone that's here to watch the meeting. Be attentive. If you have people that are representing or people that are making comments, just make sure you're attentive to them and listening to their concerns or what they're here to talk about, because it's important to them. So they want to be recognized. And then arrange your schedule to be at the meeting on time so we don't have to worry about a quorum and everybody's ready to go when the meeting time is scheduled. Open government training. The Texas Attorney General requires the Open Meetings Act and Public Information Act videos to be completed within 90 days of your appointment. This is a one and done. If you've done it one time, you don't have to redo it. So I think, Mr. Petrie, you're done because you did it for CDBG, and Mr. Cassell, you've done the Open Meetings Act, but I need to send you the Public Information Act because that's a recent requirement. So when you first started, it wasn't required, but it is required now, so you're gonna have to complete that.
I've got that pulled up, so,
Okay, if you wanna just email it to me,
okay.
then when you get the certificate, then that'll complete your requirement. And again, this is just a reminder about the Open Meetings Act. Anytime there's a quorum, you can't discuss city business or parks business unless it's noticed to the public. Even just talking amongst yourselves, like Mr. Cravens, if you call Mr. Cassell and talk about something, then Mr. Cassell calls Mr. Petrie, and you've now violated it because you've now had a quorum in a discussion. They call it a daisy chain. So even though you're not all together, you're still discussing it. It's the same with emails. That's why we always blind copy the board on our agenda packets, because if someone replies all, we've now violated the Open Meetings Act because we have a quorum on that email. So by blind copying y'all, if someone replies all, it's only going to come back to staff. It's not going to go to the whole board. So, Public Information Act, I'll just touch on this briefly. This is any document that's created by a government is subject to examination by the public. We get about 1,800 to 2,000 public information requests a year. So, and I think you're in EMS, right? So you probably are familiar with it somewhat. So any city business you're conducting on your personal devices, emails you're sending, that sort of thing, those are subject to the Public Information Act, even if it's on your personal device. And you are the trustee of that record for 2 years. So you have to make sure you maintain it. Now, emails coming from us with the agendas and stuff like that, that's not stuff you need to hang on to because we've got that backed up on our server. So we can comply with that if someone asks for emails, and they ask for emails or text messages that so-and-so sent from this date to this date. So just make sure if it's anything city related, you're hanging on to that to meet that requirement. Ethics, there's 2 chapters that we follow. One of them is Chapter 171 and Chapter 176. 171 is mainly related to if you have a substantial interest in a business, and it defines it here, what that is. If that business were involved in a contract or something like that that was coming before the commission, you would need to recuse yourself if you met these requirements. And it does require you notifying the city clerk's office that you have a conflict of interest, because we have to give you an affidavit that you have to fill out stating you have a conflict of interest, and then that gets posted on our website and it has to stay there for 5 years. So if you have a conflict of interest or think you might, always err on the side of transparency and how it might look. So if you do have one, just let us know and we can get you an affidavit, and then you'd recuse yourself from that item on the agenda. And then the other one is if we had a conflict or a contract come through this really doesn't apply mostly to you guys, this is mostly toward our city council, but if a city officer or the officer's family member has an employment or business relationship with the city, then, or with the vendor, it's a conflict of interest, and again, you would have to do that affidavit and recuse yourself from that agenda item. So those are the two that we've worked mostly with on conflicts, and that's really it. Like I said, this is kind of the nutshell version. I'll circulate the boards and commissions policy manual that goes a little more in depth on these, so that you have it. It has some examples at the back too on different motions you can make, and I think it has our form as well for our conflict, our affidavit conflict. So, anybody have any questions? No? Okay.
Okay, moving on to item D, receive a report and hold a discussion and take action on the acceptance of a potentially donated art sculpture for the Denison Public Library.
Is this already on? Okay, it's already on. Well, good afternoon. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Amanda Parsons. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. If you recall back to our June 10th of last year's commission meeting, you approved an art sculpture that was donated by Casney Studios. Kind of looked like a water wheel. It was a big blue circular. It was approved and installed during our 90th birthday celebration at the library in the Butterfly Garden area. It does have a companion piece that we are being offered through a donation as well. It's a butterfly, so it very much represents the Butterfly Garden and would look very well. There's already a placement location that has been selected in the garden. So we are asking for approvals at this time for us to receive that donation so that we can get that installed. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions, commission members?
What you see on the PowerPoint that you have there in front of you, the blue one is the one we've already accepted. The butterfly is the one that we're asking for approvals now. And staff does support the approval. So.
Commissioner Petrie make a move to accept the donation.
Commissioner Cassell, second that.
We have a motion from Commissioner Petrie and a second by Commissioner Cottrell to accept the other discussion. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to section 4, staff updates. Receive a report and hold a discussion regarding update on park projects.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name's Clint Neal. I am the park superintendent for the city of Denison. Mr. Craven, you may have already seen a couple of these from past meetings, but we just wanted to make sure we encompassed everything that our wins and our projects for this fiscal year so far for everybody involved, to the new members. So if you can turn your attention to your screens, we've got a few pictures up there, the Loy Lake Trails, Forest Park Dog Park, Munson Park signage, and the THF Century signage. So the Loy Lake Park trails, they had been neglected for some years, and we went through and we cleared the trails out as far as overgrowth and brush, things like that. There were due to where the lake sits and where the trail sits, there's a lot of runoff from the lake that falls back into the trails. So there had been bridges built previously that were built back in roughly around 2006. And so they were about 20 years old, and a lot of them weren't even usable anymore. So we went through and we tore out the old bridges and built all new bridges back throughout the trails so that the trails could become more utilized than what they currently are. The Forest Park Dog Park, that is something that was needed at Forest Park in regards to people that live downtown or people that frequent the Forest Park to be able to take their dogs and have a place to let them off leash and let them run around and play. So currently we have a small dog park and a big dog park that are separated by a divider fence. That was a project that the park staff was able to build dog ramps, install tunnels, benches, things along the lines of that nature, and just make that, bring that amenity to the park that was lacking there in the downtown area. The Munson Park signage is the picture on the left is the old signage. The picture on the right is the new signage. We wanted to keep with the same theme for historic purposes, but just update the signs to make them, one, so you could read them again, but also just to keep with the old signs. I actually have updated pictures that I got today. We just didn't have time to put it on here. We did go back with stone around the new signage, and we will plant some landscaping inside there. And there is one on the south side of the park as well as the north side of the park. The THF sensory signage, this was a sign, it is an inclusivity sign, so basically for those individuals that may have a hard time communicating or things along the lines of that nature, that sign has pictures of all the amenities that are out at THF Park. So if someone may have trouble communicating, they can go up to the sign and they can point to it, or they can read it off, or a parent or a caregiver or something like that can read it off to understand what that person is wanting to do out there, wanting to see or wanting to play on, or whatever the case may be. So that's something that we hope to do at more parks in the future, but right now we started with THF. And so again, that's something that we hope to do in the future. The concession stand renovations, Legacy Park Playground, THF ball field padding, and our park scoreboard. So the concession stand renovations happened probably in about October, November of last year. We went through, there was a lot of rotten siding on our Waterloo baseball field's concession stand. And so we went through, removed the old rotten wood, and we replaced it all with hardy board siding. We did have a gentleman that was kind enough that owned a painting business that actually came out and painted the concession stand for us free of charge. We just had to provide the paint to him. He sent a crew out there, but our guys re-sided it, hung the trim, got rid of all the old boards, and just kind of gave the outside of it a more updated and modern look. There are a couple more buildings out there that we hope to, in the near future, are able to make them look more similar to what we did on our concession stand and press box, just trying to update the ball fields as much as we can. The Legacy Park Playground, so prior to this park had no playground equipment whatsoever. It was pretty much a gazebo, barbecue grill, and a couple of benches. That was the extent of it. We were able to get funding for Legacy Park and install the playground equipment. It is a smaller playground, but Legacy Park is not all that big, so we couldn't put anything grand out there. But this is something that, it being a neighborhood playground, that we wanted to make sure we accomplished in that neighborhood, to give, there's two churches right there beside it, so that would give them an opportunity for Sunday school, youth classes, things like that, to go out and enjoy the playground and just be an additional amenity to the neighborhood itself. THF ball field padding, so this was something that, so we do host some NCAA Division III JUCO college out at THF Park. In 2027, they are starting, or they put out a memorandum stating that any place where college games are played, there has to be padding on hard surfaces. So we wanted to get ahead of the game and make sure that we had this in place so we could continue to host those JUCO tournaments, because they do bring in revenue for the city and for the parks and things along the lines of that nature. So we wanted to make sure we were ahead of the game. The picture on the left is what it looked like prior to the padding being installed. The picture on the right is current with the padding installed. So basically what we did is we went through, and all the hard surfaces, the rock surfaces just on the outside, so on the inside of the fields. From the outside, it still has that aesthetic, the rock aesthetic, and it still looks really nice. But on the inside, we were able to install these pads, and we had them custom made so that they fit the rock and the shape and everything. But this was for safety purposes as well as us being able to continue to host these JUCO tournaments that are out there. So far, it has been well received, especially from the safety standpoint. There were times you had kids running, full speed towards a rock wall, and you kind of hold your breath, like, please don't trip, anything like that. So now, it's a lot safer out there for the kids that are, playing ball out there. The park scoreboards, so we were able to acquire 5 new scoreboards for THF. These scoreboards will be updated scoreboards, LED scoreboards with a advertisement panel on it. So we would be able to advertise things that are going on in Parks and Recreation, things that are going on throughout the city, like Music on Main or Fall Fest, things along the lines of that nature, to people that are visiting the baseball fields and softball fields at THF. We are going to take the current scoreboards that are on the right, and we are going to place them at other ball fields throughout the city, Waterloo, Culpeper, Munson, T-Bar. Those scoreboards have been in place for quite some years now, and they need an update, so we will repurpose the current THF scoreboards at our other ball fields throughout the city. And then lastly, we have the Waterloo Lake Regional Park. It was recognized this year in February as a Lone Star Legacy Park. So basically there were some requirements that went into us winning this award. The longevity of the park, what the park represents, what the park looks like, things along the lines of that nature. So we went to the TRAPS conference, and they awarded us this award for the Waterloo Lake Regional Park. As the sign and the award on the left is something that we have in our office right now, but there is a sign that we were given. It's a bronze plated sign that we put out near the steps out at Waterloo Lake Park, so people could see it and understand, the recognition that Waterloo Lake Park gets. Most of the credit goes to our guys in the field of, as far as keeping the park up and making sure that that it stays mowed, that the bridges throughout the trails are repaired, the stairs are being repaired, that the lake stays clean and things like that. So this was a big deal for us, a big deal for the city of Denison, being recognized, statewide as far as one of these Lone Star Legacy Park. Lastly, I just wanted to bring up that we still do have one open position on the council, or on the commission. So if y'all know of anybody that might be interested in taking that 5th seat, please reach out to them. And if they have questions, they can contact Eva, they can contact Amanda, they can contact myself, and we will answer those questions. So if y'all do know of somebody that would be willing to accept that last seat on the commission, we would greatly appreciate it if y'all could reach out to them. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, moving on. Item B, receive, report, hold discussion regarding the Munson restroom bid.
That was me too. Sorry, I forgot about that. So just an update on where we are at with this. We have this has been a headache. So we initially started off with we were going to model after the Forest Park bathroom, basically, is what it boiled down to. But there were some hiccups in the design plan with us being able to use it, us not being able to use it. So from a legality standpoint, we ultimately decided, you know what, we're just going to go back to the drawing board on this and go through an architect to give us our own blueprint, basically, that we own. It will still be designed roughly off of the Forest Park bathroom, just for aesthetics and just for continuity across the park, because that's ultimately what we're trying to get to. So right now, that's where we are with the Munson Park bathroom. It's in an architect's hand. They're drawing up blueprints, and we're waiting to get that back to see what that looks like. And as soon as we get that back, it will go out for bid. And then we'll just have to wait to see where we go from there for out to bid. We've already been out to bid for it a couple of different times. One was basically for a, lost my train of thought. Prefab, thank you. A prefab bathroom, and that the price on that was astronomical. And so we switched gears and tried to use the prints from Forest Park, and of course, like I said, that became a gray area, ultimately, so to speak, and so we shifted gears again, and now it is in an architect's hand, and as soon as we get those blueprints in hand, we will update you guys on that. Okay, thank y'all.
This time we need a motion for adjournment.
Commissioner Cassell will motion to adjourn.
And Commissioner Petrie will second that motion. Good.
For adjourned. Do I sign